Ryland Puzatello, welcome to Girl Dad the podcast.
Let's go. I've been waiting for this one, Maddie. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you here. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know Ryland, he is one of our good friends, Max and I's good friends. And I'm so excited to have him on because his wife and him are expecting their first child, and it's a baby girl. Sorry to steal your thunder. Like, I'm sure you were going to go over that in your intro, but I'm just so excited to have you on because there's so many dads out here who are just discovering that they're about to have their first child and it's a girl.
Mhm.
And I know this conversation will be so helpful and enlightening. So with that, would love for you to introduce yourself to the audience, a little more about what you do and where you're from.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I love how me, you, and Max met, and then being able to stand next to Max at his wedding, and then Halle stand next to you. Yeah, it's been intriguing to know you guys over the past 5, 6 years. I guess high level about me, born and raised in Cleveland, as Halle was too, so it makes for a great story when we eventually started our love story in Los Angeles. And so after 22 years in Ohio, we then did a quick 5/7 year stint in Los Angeles, which is where we met you and Max. And then in 2021, I popped the question for her to marry me after 2 or 3 years of dating. And then we got married in 2022, and now it's 2025. So in total, we've been together, call it maybe going on 8 years, depending on what the official date is. And yes, after 3 years of marriage, we're taking the next step. We're both 30 years old and expecting our first baby girl here in February. We did move to Texas about a year ago in anticipation. Naturally, I think we knew a baby was on the horizon, and so part of the plan was just getting a little bit closer to home. Didn't want to leave my job. I thought Halle and I thought there was benefits, and then from her career perspective, we just thought, yeah, Austin, Texas sounds great. So yeah, very stoked to be here and share some stories and tidbits about our journey so far. She's about 22 weeks through her pregnancy journey, and yeah, a lot of emotions to unpack with that. So hopefully, I can uplift and inspire future and expecting fathers.
Yes, I love it. To go deeper on the story of how we met at work, which is
Hmm.
so funny because this job, it's Dimensional Fund Advisors, and you still work
Hmm.
there,
Yep.
in the Austin office, which is why it was a natural progression to Texas. But it's so funny because the day I met you was the day I met my husband, Max, and also a lot of our close friends. Like
Hmm.
Dimensional, I just have to give a huge shout out because it's been the most incredible place. I can't imagine my life without working
Oh
at
yeah.
Dimensional.
Yeah.
Even, Nick was our other buddy who worked with us, and he was
Hmm.
our officiant at our wedding. And like you said, you were on Max's side, and your wife, Halle, that I met through you, obviously, is one of my
Yeah.
bridesmaids and best friends. And she was actually on the podcast on an earlier episode. So if anyone
Hmm.
thinks that name sounds familiar, you did hear her speak. She's amazing, has a great relationship with her dad. And anyways, yeah, Dimensional is a special place and just had to give it a little shout out there. But to kick this conversation off, I think the question that I would like to start off with is, how are you feeling?
A great question. I feel so excited. Seriously, uh, it's it's excited to be here. It's excited to like prepare for this conversation because I even said I'm in a dad group now with 2 or 3 friends that are around my age. What both went to Miami, and we actually just got off a phone call here at noon today, over lunch, and we just all go out for a walk and just kind of tune in. And I told them I was going on this podcast, and I prepped for about 2 hours last night, going through some different prompts that you sent just to get me thinking about it. And it really starts to hit. Hallie's bump is growing. We're starting to feel kicks, and it's starting to feel more real. We're moving out of our apartment to naturally go get more space here in Texas. We're still renting, but a 4 bedroom house, which we're definitely excited for. Me, myself, and even Halle too. Between the two of us, we have 6 nieces and nephews across my brother and sister, and then her sister. And I mean, no, is it? It's five. Yeah, it's six, and we'll be the seventh to add to the family. And so we've been around kids for the past 6 years. They're all under 6 years old, and it really wasn't until the past year or so where I internally really felt that like I was ready to be a dad. Um, and that was interesting. It was an interesting flip of the switch, and naturally, Hallie got on that same wave, and we started to make some serious moves about family planning and what that means for us. And so, definitely no surprise by any means. This is well thought out, but truthfully, Maddie, like I've been preparing to be a dad for a decade plus, from just mindset to health to career. Like you said, I still work at Dimensional. I've been there for 8 years, to finances to everything in between. I tell Halle this often. I've been preparing to be a father for a very long time, and so for the day to come here in a couple months, I'm definitely really excited.
Yeah, Max and I, we're so lucky. We got to see you the other week, and I remember you said that you said that you've been preparing for this moment before you even met Halle, which
Hmm.
I thought was really cool to hear. You're very intentional. I think that's a really common theme with a lot of the dads that I bring on here and that are excited about being a girl dad. Like, so I love to hear stories like that. But would love to talk more about that moment that you found out you were having a girl, or even when you found out you were pregnant.
Hmm.
You did something really cute with your, boy versus girl
Yeah,
announcement. And
yeah.
yeah, would love to just hear it from your perspective.
Yeah, so we made a 2-minute video recapping it, and by no means was fireworks or anything. I mean, it was as expensive as $40 and inclusive of 2 people, me and my wife, Hallie. But, maybe I'll turn to you, like, what stood out with the experience, with the video? Like, anything in particular that stood out to you from receiving on the receiving end?
Yeah, it was so you guys. I mean, you guys are just so creative, both you and Hallie. Yes, you work in finance at Dimensional Fund Advisors and have for a while, but you've also started side hustles. You've done
Mhm.
wedding photography. You actually were there the day that Max and I got engaged. You were in the in the rocks, like hidden in
Yeah, that
these
was
like
fun.
funny.
Good
Yeah.
memory, core memory.
Yeah, seriously, I wouldn't have even recognized you if I had seen you. You guys
Yeah,
were so dressed up and incognito, but you were
mhm,
there to shoot the photos and
yeah.
help capture such a special moment for me and Max. And so you've always been super creative, and I think this video and even just like the way it was edited and just
That's
like
all Hallie, that's all Hallie.
I mean, I
I
know, but like it's so
Yeah,
you guys.
yeah.
I just loved it. So I think what
I
stood
guess
out to me was just yeah, the
the
emotions.
the
Like it was
the
so
emotions
pure.
behind it, there was a build
Mhm.
up, and I guess we didn't even we're talking about it as if people know. What we
Yeah.
did, was basically go to Nordstrom and pick 2 different outfits, and then the cashier, through a phone call of our only friend in town that knew what the gender was, told them, the gender, they wrapped it up, and then we took it to a park. But we videotaped the whole thing and then compiled it in a 2-minute video for friends and family to watch, and brought my drone, brought some other fun toys to help capture it, from a content perspective. But all in all, it was good and fun. Like, we were able to be very present and then still be surprised. But I will say, like, as far as the moment, to back to your question, the moment I found out it was girl, I will say, like, there's a lot of wives' tales, and using ChatGPT and whatnot, you can feed what Hallie's, feed what Hallie's feeling throughout the first 12 weeks or so of, she's craving this, or her body temperature is this, or at the first scan, the heart rate's this. And then you feed in Chinese calendar, and it's like all the myths and the woo woo stuff. But all of that was shouting girl, which was interesting. There was
Mm.
like a few that were boy, but just the gut. Like, there's something biological about the gut. And the entire time, I was like 99% this is going to be a girl. Um, and it wasn't until we were opening the box in the park to see if it was a dress or just a boy outfit. That's when it flipped. I was like, oh shit, no, it's actually a 50-50 chance biologically. Like, this is gonna be 50-50. And then, like, we're going through the tissue paper, and then sure enough I see this pink, and then we, start going a little bit further, and it's a pink dress. And I was like, it just flooded with emotions and raw emotions. And I think what I said at the end was the summary of it all, just to put it into to recap it all. It's like, I'm so genuinely excited to fall in love with another girl again. That's just a product of myself and Hallie. But more in particular, just falling in love with the girl again and being her rock is gonna be such a treat. I'm so excited for that.
Oh my God, Ryland, you're gonna make me cry. That's so sweet. Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I'm so excited for both of you.
yeah.
Yeah, I love just being tagged along in this journey and getting the updates like the baby is an apricot today, like so
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah, the apps and technology that plugs in through the process. there's definitely no excuse as the father. I'm sure we'll talk about this, but there's no excuse for the fathers to not be involved, from apps to books to everything in between. Like, um, there's definitely a lot of resources out there to make sure that your partner feels supported.
Yeah, I would love to talk more about that. So, how
Yeah.
how have you supported Halle? I know you've done an amazing job. You're always such a thoughtful husband, but specifically during pregnancy, what are ways that you've shown up that maybe other dads can lean on for inspiration or advice during their
Mhm.
pregnancy journey with their wife?
It's a good question. You really like, your life changes as soon as you get that positive pregnancy test, but let me tell you, it is a slow 9 months. Granted, a lot needs to change in preparation, so shout out to God for having our back, because there's a lot to do before before that baby comes. But I think as far as involvement and making sure your partner feels supported and safe and loved, for me, low-hanging fruit was just getting involved early on, as easy as buying a book or going to her appointments. I haven't missed an appointment yet. I don't really plan to miss any appointments. It's kind of a hassle to, like, carve around your calendar, and I travel a lot for work, but it's kinda non-negotiables for us. Just having, like, we walk every night after dinner, and we try to do some days no phones and just have, like, really good intentional conversations. She's got a pregnancy journal and a shared notes app, and we're kinda co-creating week by week on that front. And just checking in how she feels physically and emotionally, like, always making sure that, like, she's literally carrying and creating life inside of her. How can I help her? Like, sometimes I feel selfish that I can't do more, and especially as now as her back's hurting more, she's not getting as much sleep. So I think that's, like, surface level stuff that's, like, low hanging fruit to the extent that you can, but then there's, like, the deeper level that you could probably, you know, really, to the extent that you can, like, lean into it, and this is as easy as, like, that dad group, like, carving out more time to intentionally talk with other dads, that are in the same stage, or, really shelling out some additional cash even though budget's getting constrained on massages and nails, even though, like, she's a personal trainer, she's been protective of her image and her body, and now her body's going through this transition, so making sure that, like, I still view her as this amazing, beautiful fitness model, and I don't even see her bump, but she feels it, and she feels, the changes and whatnot, and it's like, you're beautiful through all seasons, and just making sure she knows that. But, like, coming back to the self-care aspect and making sure she feels and has that support. We're going on a baby moon in 2 weeks, and so that's a nice little treat where we can kinda have our kinda last party of 2 type of trip. So a lot of this starts intertwining with finances and budget, but, like, those things, whether it's flowers or non-alcoholic wine, things like that, where you're thinking of her and trying to bring normalization to her changing everyday life, I thought has been a good helpful for the mind space and for her just to be heard and seen. You know what I mean? But with that, like,
Absolutely.
anything in particular on that front that I could be doing better? I mean, she's out there, but she's on a different call, so I'm curious for your feedback from your vantage point, like, at this stage, what would you think? What would you say that I could be doing more even?
Ryland, I think you're doing an incredible job. And I've heard from Hallie the same thing. You're so supportive. You are going above and beyond. I think you just keep doing exactly what you're doing and always thinking about her and her perspective and her feelings. Like the non-alcoholic wine, like that's such a thoughtful thing that, it's little because it's like, okay, yeah, we all, we give up drinking when we're if we do drink, right? We give it up when we're pregnant, but that's a long time to shift to a completely different, habit and from a social element. Like it can be tough for a lot of girls, and so even just thinking about that and like how can I make her feel
Mhm.
included
Yeah.
and keep the normal, like it's like the new normal, right? Like keep things that she loved incorporated into life, but with a little bit of
Yeah.
a different flair. So I think you're doing an amazing job, and also like I haven't been pregnant yet, and I'm not, I don't have the best advice there. I think you're doing
Yeah.
great, but,
Mhm. It's
I'm
true.
learning from you actually on this side of things.
It is fun because you kinda have a core group. We were kind of the first to get married in our core group, and now the first to push forward with something to this rite of passage, if you will. But yeah, it's a journey, and I've seen others go through it, but not to the extent of detail that you just kind of figure it out. And like I said, just being involved and asking and just kind of being a yes man to the extent that you can, both emotionally and stepping up more and more, because ultimately, like that's what's in it. You feel a sense of that, like the primal nature to want to step up to the extent that we
Mhm.
can, because you see them going into complete primal mode. But like, I won't even get into the details, but like, there is just so many things that are happening, just that have happened for centuries on that behalf,
Mhm.
and it's very cool to witness firsthand and just take the connection between me and her to a whole nother level, which is fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the biological nature of it is so fascinating,
Yeah.
just how men are wired to provide and protect, and I think,
Hmm.
when you're in your young 20s and you're dating or you're newly married, of course, that is still within you, right? And
Yeah.
that's still very much how your brain is wired, but when you become a dad, it's like, "Oh, next level," you know? And same with being a woman, like, all these amazing feminine qualities that we have. Okay, well, when we're growing a child inside of us, it's, I'm sure, just taken to the next level, and we become, like, natural
Hmm.
motherly instincts, you know? So, yeah,
Hmm.
I can't wait to experience that.
Yep.
I'm too excited. Max is like, "Whoa."
I sense it's
Uh,
not far on the horizon, which I'm excited for you guys too.
well, you've got really great intuition, so I'm gonna count on that one.
I
Yeah.
love it.
No, I'm excited too. So, okay, would love to talk a little bit more about, your work and kind of how it's prepared you for this new title of dad. Maybe it's changed your goals or, your view of life, just now knowing that you're gonna be taking care of another girl, as you mentioned. But how have you previously been preparing for this?
Hmm. Yeah, that's also a great question. Um, it's it's largely like just taking note of how I was raised. I think both Hallie and I take gratitude for the way both of our parents equally raised us. And so just knowing that, like, even from a financial standpoint, I've always had the intent to want to be able to provide for my children and have the same type of life that I had growing up with, um, just family vacations, and making sure over Christmas that we can have a nice Christmas and the kids and having those traditions. And from I just remember cutting the grass at a young age, and like my dad would throw me $5 to cut the grass, and so like instilling principles around that. So like taking note of like how I want to be a parent is one aspect of it, but then also on the other aspect of it is more or less like what I've been doing for the past decade plus to make sure that I have the disciplines both on the financial, mental, physical, and emotional front, so that I know in what I need to do so I can show up not only for myself, for example, like if I don't get a workout in, because not only for the physical benefits, but for the mental benefits of what sweating and exercising brings to me, or if I'm not eating properly, or if I'm, you know, drinking, a little bit more than I potentially should. There's just the awareness and the inner work on what that balance looks like for me. And then there's a whole nother aspect. You asked a question around how has my work played into this? I mean, people like your husband, who's a financial advisor, who helps people think through trade-offs all day, every day. I mean, I'm not even a financial advisor. All my clients are financial advisors. And so I'm surrounded by on on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on email, on headquarters where I sit, like I'm surrounded by brilliant personal finance savvy type people all day, every day. And so, yes, I have been preparing from a financial standpoint, not only to be able to provide so that we can have enough of the resources when it comes to baby stuff, but then you start thinking higher level of like, okay, well, if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, would Hallie and baby be okay? I.e., like, um, we're pretty like lopsided income household, and so like, how can my income be replaced, and for them to be okay and not have to worry overnight if I got hit by a bus? And so there's different types of insurance you could buy on that front. And so working with an advisor, I find I don't have an advisor, but I have a lot of friends. It's just because of my net worth isn't high enough to have an advisor, but just talking through those types of trade-offs to know as a working father, like just to give people actionable takeaways. Like, do you want to save for your child's education? In 18 years, they're going to go to school, and the cost of that's going to be a couple $100,000, if not more. So there's things you could be doing in a 529, which is a tax sheltered account, to be start saving from time period 0 when they're born. The thing that I was talking about was term life insurance. If you got hit by a bus, is there $1 million you can reserve for your wife and kids or whatever your income is? Is there things you could be doing if you got really hurt and you weren't able to work, i.e., disability insurance? And so there's these things that she, Halle, is otherwise not thinking about, but I'm thinking about constantly because I feel as if our family needs to be protected if something happened to me. And so that's the vantage point that I've been really stepping into is making sure that we have all the processes and checks in place if they went out of whack. And I know that you know this because you worked in the industry and you know it well because you probably talk a lot about it a lot with Max over dinner because he's just such a talented advisor himself. So these are things that hopefully I can inspire people to think through. In my dad group in particular, they're both in tech and tech sales, and so they're picking my brain on how I'm going about the financial aspects. But 100% people in my age bracket from 25 to 35 who are in the age of wealth creation, 100% you throw a baby into that, most men are going to feel stressed about finances in this time period. It's 100% going to add another layer of stress, and especially in today's economy, it's like, how are we going to do this? And so, I think there's a lot of resources, whether it's advisors or in particular, just even ChatGPT and YouTube. Like I definitely have a hand, and it's like kind of my second brain at times. And so that's a long rant, but I think it's important to drive home because it is something that I feel like I have a specific expertise around that I can help at least uplift people to think about a little bit more. But by any means, just refer to Max Gallagher, who really is the expert on it. That's right.
True, he is amazing. Big shout
Yeah.
out there. But yeah, I love that answer because, really the reason I asked that question is because I knew what you did and I know how much preparation goes into what you do and how much that industry in general helps prepare you for your future because that's really what you do on a daily basis is help people prepare for their future and you are
Mhm.
helping financial advisors help their clients prepare for the future, but
That's right.
it's the same kind of dynamic. You're always thinking about these things, you're planning ahead, you're figuring out how to invest properly, and I think
Yeah.
that goes with time investment, that goes with money, right? That goes with
Mhm.
energy, all these different
Yeah.
things. And so you're already thinking about these things. And I think it's
Mhm.
really setting you up for being a father. But I guess what I really wanted to provide to the audience who doesn't work in finance is those kinds of answers. So that was so helpful. And it was so great for you to even tie in your background as well, because it's not just about work that's prepared you. Like, you've had an incredible life and you've always been really thoughtful about these things. And of course, work has helped prepare you and your
Yeah.
specific career has. But yeah,
Yeah.
you've taken a lot of inspiration from your incredible family and
Mhm.
how close you are with your siblings and what they've, gone through and their family planning journeys. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, a lot of really great advice there or without even calling it advice. You're just telling
Mhm.
your story, but I think people will have a lot of takeaways there.
I think what you kind of broke down was a nice metaphor. It's like helping plan. I'm always thinking about the future and planning for it 5, 10 years out. Where my wife Hallie, absolutely love her. She's very day to day, and so it's a beautiful contrast because like we never run out of toilet paper, we never run out of paper towels. Like we're always stocked on everything we need around the house. She has no idea what I've been doing. Like she sometimes gets brought to tears when she thinks about how much I have thought through big decisions on the fact that like I got you. I got us and we're going to be okay, and I've been planning for this for a very long time, at least on the financial front, but you nailed it on the personal development front and just like the work here and the work on the comprehensive body, like even then now budgeting it in, like how are we going to find time to do the things that she loves, which is fitness, the things that I love, like golf and ski and or fitness as well. Like we got to make sure that we can normalize. I'm not necessarily concerned about one. I think one's gonna be manageable, but I see my sister with 3 kids, and it gets hectic. A lot of my clients, financial advisors, 45, 50, 60 years old, like, whether they have 3 to 5 kids, like, they tell me it is the most challenging but rewarding experience, and I'm excited to dive into it. I think one's gonna be manageable, but once we start, going to man-to-man defense or 2-3 zone and having 2 or 3 kids, God willing, like, it's gonna get a little more challenging for sure, and so how are we gonna slate those things in too? But the groundwork starts now. It started 10 years ago, to be honest, on, like, the self-development front, but, I know you guys are on that same wave too, and so bucketing it now and just thinking about it, like, takes planning for sure.
Definitely. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think you and Halle are such a great balance because she is really invested in the day to day. And the other
Thank
thing that
you.
she's really invested in is health in general. Like she is always cooking the healthiest meals. She is
Mhm.
stocking your fridge and your pantry with like super healthy snacks, super healthy food. And I know she's taking care of herself and the baby right now in that manner too, you know.
Yeah,
Maybe minus
100%.
some Chinese food cravings here and there in first trimester.
That's right.
But no, she really is so, so intentional about that. And I mean, there's so much we could talk about there with male female dynamics and roles in a
Mhm.
household and all these things because I think there's a lot of pressure in today's world for women to be equal to men and no, I don't necessarily want to get too far into this, but I think
Yeah.
there's something beautiful about finding your unique balance. And it looks different
Mhm.
for every relationship. Like some
Mhm.
women are breadwinners and they are just in that role of providing for the family. And that's great. But like there's always a really healthy balance, and I think you guys
Mhm.
have done such a good job of planning out that balance and making it work for you and making sure that your baby is coming into the family where
Mhm.
they're set up for the
Yeah.
highest potential of success in happiness and health and in their financial future, everything, because you've done the work ahead of time to prepare. And I'm definitely taking notes for Max and I when the day arrives because I think that's important. I think there should be, roles and responsibilities and kind of like, different lanes, but also working together as a family unit, and you do a really good job of that.
Yeah. It's actually we don't fight often or have it's not even fights, they're disagreements or, like, active conversations around how, like, disagreements and then later, like, how can we resolve this? We forgive very fast. That's one of our best traits is that if we don't see eye to eye on something, we can get emotional in the short term, but, like, we're always hugging and kissing by the end of the night, and that's the best part about this partnership that we call love and that we're kinda managing this household together, but one thing that we've kinda clarified over time are roles and responsibilities within the household, and something this even happened 2 or 3 weeks ago is that she was getting upset that I wasn't taking out the trash every night, and I never understood why we need to take the trash out every night, but and why this was, like, a recent new phenomenon because they just pick it out right outside our door. We live in an apartment complex. But then she started telling me more about the why, and the why was, "I'm pregnant, I can't stand the smell, and whatever we cooked that day, whatever we had, even though the trash isn't full, take the trash out." And so it was one of those things that was just like a good switch of just doing some more discovery throughout the process, even though something's new or you might not agree with it, like ask the right questions to understand uncover the why. And then life becomes so much easier. That could have fully been avoided. And now I haven't missed a night of taking out the trash. But as even more specific as like, who's paying the new bills at the new house or, car insurance, like all the life admin stuff in addition to work stuff and everything in between, like, it doesn't hurt probably to have a spreadsheet and, like, who's responsible for what and delineating their responsibility because you are a team at the end of the day, and then you throw in a baby into it, you wanna be able to silo it and then from there also find time for love and intimacy and just, like, connection between one another. Well, I do hear that's what lacks in the first year or 2, and so, like, being very intentional around that, already thinking through that, I think will be helpful and informative as well.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, setting your daughter up for success means setting you and Hallie up for success, and that goes for anyone else out there who's pregnant. Having a strong mom and dad bond means so much to the kid. It provides the most natural safety and security
Mm,
of anything. You know, you can tell them that they're safe and that you'll protect them, but if they see you guys fighting every day, it creates a internally unsafe
Yeah,
environment. And
100%.
that's just like, encoded in our DNA. That's how it works. And so those are really good points that you're bringing up about kind of trying to discover the why. I also think that just like we mentioned, getting really clear on roles and responsibilities in the household is important. Like for example, when Max and I first moved in together, we didn't really have like a responsibility of who's taking out the trash or who's
Mm.
putting the dishes away.
That's all
And I
Max.
think
Come on, Max.
well, I mean, like it was a very short period of time until we kind of figured it out. And it was like, okay, how about this? How about Max, you do the trash, I'll do the dishes. And then that way there's no like
Mhm.
lingering trash. And it's like, who's going to take it out? And then you're both kind of like, I can't believe they haven't taken out the trash yet, but there was never a communication about
That's
roles
right.
and responsibilities, right? And so now we have like very clear roles and responsibilities in that
Mhm.
manner, and that's just like a simple example in the kitchen, but life is complicated. We've got tons of different things going on with work and we have very clear distinct roles and responsibilities in our life. And so I think it just becomes more and more important as you're bringing
Mhm.
children into the world.
Yeah.
Um and then the other thing is that when it comes to discovering the why, that's really, really important because I always like to explain to men that women speak like an iceberg, okay? Like, like that
Yeah.
photo, there's like a famous photo of icebergs, right? So just the tip is what you get to see. What's outside of the water, that's what you hear us say. What we
Yeah.
actually are thinking and what we mean is everything underneath it. And so, and men are very like clear to the point naturally. So they'll say,
Mhm.
typically what is on their mind for the most part, especially when they're talking to other men. And women are like super cryptic. Like
Mm.
we say something, but we really mean something else, and we're feeling something totally different. And it's hard for men because that's just not their language. And so figuring out that why is really important. And what I always like to help men uncover is okay, whatever she's upset about or what she's bringing up, think about the emotions that are related to that. So if the dishes are not put away and she's upset because she's doing all the dishes or something like that, just since we're using these analogies,
Mhm.
then think about why she's upset about that. What kind of emotions are going on? Maybe she's feeling
Mhm.
like she's not like you're not paying enough attention to the
Yeah.
hard work that she does around the house. Maybe she's feeling like you don't care enough. Like think about
Mhm.
it's always these stories that we tell and
Yeah.
then address the stories. Don't It's not
Mhm.
even about the dishes. Like give her a hug
Yeah.
and tell her that you're so grateful for all the work that she does around the house and you're so great and you don't tell her this enough. Those are the
Mhm.
kinds of things that really we want to hear. We don't need you to just put away the dishes and then like
Yeah.
all the problems are solved, right?
Well, it doesn't fix it long term. What you
Right.
wanna put yourself in the space is like, "Oh my goodness, I am causing so much inconvenience to my wife and grief that, like, she can't stand the smell of the salmon skin that we just cooked that night." Like, yeah, like, she's got a heightened smell, like, I don't want her to feel that way, and so, like, I want to fix that. It's not nothing to do with, like, actually the physical act of taking out the trash. It takes me a minute, but just wanting to fix problems that, like, cause her inconvenience and just so you nailed it. Just it's exactly what it's all about.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think it's hard. I think women need to be more clear about why they're asking these things too, because sometimes it comes off like a demand. And I know men don't like typically respond well to that because it feels maybe like an attack or that they're not doing a good enough job. And a lot of times that's not what women actually feel. They're really grateful for what their men are doing, but it's complicated because they're it's basically like a language or a translation issue, right? Like the women are not speaking to the men the way that the men will hear it, and the men aren't understanding the women because we think so differently. And so it creates conflict when really the clarity around everything is huge.
Mhm.
A long-winded answer for this whole discussion is just like understand the why behind why your
Mhm.
wife or your partner might be asking things of you. And
Mhm.
also get really clear on those roles and responsibilities so that
Yeah.
your partnership dynamic is as smooth as possible. Like just
Mhm.
take out the opportunities for those bumps.
Yeah. Well said. I love it.
So, going back to just kind of like how you're preparing for pregnancy, are there any specific books? You said you were in that men's group, which is amazing, by the way. Any other ways that you're learning new things that you want to share with other dads who might be in the same position as you?
100%. Um, I think everyone's got solicited and unsolicited advice when it comes to this, specifically if they've been through it before. Also crazy, we live in a day and age where like if you go to my explore page, it went from like food and fitness to everything about to the teen of like what trimester my wife is in. It's like I'm getting second trimester content via like TikTok and Instagram right now. It's crazy. But like to that sense, like some of it's really helpful. Like early on, it was giving us name inspiration and things like that. So like I will say the internet's good, just gotta be protect that and then contrast it with podcasts. Also great. I've been loving your podcast. Your book, Girl Dad, obviously, like like when you speak a book, definitely a must read specifically for expecting dads or even I've given your book to clients that have two girls, which we need to order more copies. I think we've already ripped through like 5 or 6, and we just gave it to Mitch, who we're seeing tonight. He's expecting
Oh,
a girl as well. But another book that I have read, and it's actually Mitch gave it to me, but I had already bought it. And then when you type into chat or even Google, it's like one of the top books for the first 9 months leading into the delivery of the kid. Is called The Expectant Father, and you're supposed to read it month by month depending on the month that you're in. And it does help you walk through the emotions you're feeling, the decisions you have to make, the education around like birthing centers, and do you want a midwife and or a doula? Do you want to set up a 529, kind of something that I talked to earlier? Just all of these different decisions you'll have to make. And then even to the extent that Halle has educated me on, and a part of our walks is talking about these things like what is a doula? What's the purpose? They come with it, it comes as an expense, but like what are the benefits they bring? And then talking about your birth plan. And then what happens if things don't go according to plan? And then you have things like cord clamping and placenta delivery. And do you want to keep your placenta? And there's all these things that I've never thought of that you can get through just these forums that I'm talking about. I think right now, even before we kicked off this podcast, like you were talking about the emotions that I'm feeling. The emotions are very like bucketed. It's very short term. It's very like third trimester, which is like short-ish term, because that's like what 5, 6, 7 weeks away. And then you have delivery postpartum, and then you have the first year. And then I caught myself at dinner like coming to tears the other night because I see this mom and her two daughters. They're like 16 and 19, and the mom is a 50-year-old like hip mom with their daughters out to dinner, and me and Halle are there. I'm looking at my pregnant wife and I see them in my like kind of peripheral vision. And I'm like, that's gonna be so cool when I come home from work and I meet you guys at happy hour and our girls are just yapping with you present and just having a great time. And you're gonna be the baddest, coolest mom in the world taking the girls out to happy hour and I'm coming home from work and like they're so excited to see me. That's 'cause, like, that's the whole another layer to it, so I guess I'm riffing it here a little bit from a resource standpoint to a story, the emotion that I felt, but, I think to summarize, podcast, the internet, like, your book's gonna be it's gonna be, like, multiple time reads to, like, really cement the things that you can do because I think naturally, of course, you asked about like when we did our reveal, of course I wanted a boy, but am I upset that we're having a girl? Absolutely not. There are so many benefits to having mommy's little helper be the oldest from day one and to ensure that we're having a girl and not have two boys. Like Hallie really wanted a girl, so putting myself in her shoes, like yes, score, like we're having a girl first to like again, yeah, falling in love with another girl, to braiding her hair, to taking on girl daddy daughter dates. Like those are all things that I'm super stoked for that it's also going to challenge me too because it's going to be different. Like I want to make sure that she can do things that I enjoy too that my wife otherwise doesn't do. I mean, I grew up skiing and golfing, so I've told Allie like she's going to be a skier and a golfer, and those are things that we're going to enjoy together. And so just getting excited about those things as well. But just being aware that like they're going to go through stages and I'm going to need help through those stages. And so I'm going to need your help. I'm going to need your community's help. I'm going to need continue to like have your book on audiobook and the print. there are so many things that I'm gonna have to continually focus on and get better at over time. But that was a long-winded answer, but obviously I'm excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's very obvious and in the best way. But you're gonna be an amazing dad, and I love that you talked about including your daughter in your world. I mean, this is something for my longtime listeners. They know that this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I think it's so important for dads to be happy and continue to do the things that they love. I think a lot of dads give up things traditionally because it doesn't fit into like the daughter, world. And
Mhm.
I think that that's doing both the daughter and the dad a disservice, especially when it's your biological daughter. Like,
Yeah.
she might love exactly what you love, right? So bringing her into skiing and golfing, I mean, those are 2 things that my dad included me in since I was, like,
Yeah.
4 years old, and I am
Great.
so grateful. Like, I
Yeah.
remember the day that the rope came off when we were skiing because I was always just, like, ahead of him, tied up by the rope, and it was, like, one of those core memories for me, and I remember him teaching me how to golf and, like, all the different memories on the golf courses,
So
like, all
good.
over the world. I mean,
Yeah.
really, it's such a special thing to teach your daughter, and I think, it's really cool because as a woman, there's not a ton of girl golfers out there, and,
Yeah.
it's something, like, unique, and I think more women are getting into it, but it's something I'm so, so grateful for my dad teaching me, so I love that you're gonna bring your daughter into that as well.
Mhm. You're
Um
honestly inspiration too, like, you are a skier, you're a golfer. I know others in my network that are female based and they do that as like they love that to the nth degree as well. Those two sports in particular. I think a lot of guys get really, focused on the ball sports, right? Like football, basketball, baseball, and like those are very masculine forward sports. All there, obviously, there's female versions of all of those, but in particular, like guys always crave to do that with their boys, right? Yes, my day will come with that, God willing, but also, like, the buck doesn't stop there, like, to the extent that we can bond over the things that we were just talking about, like, equally as exciting to me.
oh, I love
Yeah.
it. We are coming up on time here, but would love to just close out with a final one piece of advice for any dad out there who just found out that they're having a baby girl.
Hmm, one piece of advice. Your life's gonna change, like, for my wife, overnight, it changed. Like, she had to stop drinking, she had to, you know she's had trouble sleeping, so, like, no melatonin, like, all of these things just overnight, like, a lot of the supplements she would take. And so there's a lot of education up front. Just be ready for that, at least from, like, the pregnancy stage. That's to the experience that I have. I think The Expectant Father in your books, like, so far, it's what I know, it's been super helpful, like, get involved early. I think we talked a lot about that. Um, just start with, routines and habits as early as you can as far as, like, what do you value and making sure you're, like, starting that now before the baby comes. Get ready that, like, finances will pick up. Naturally, your partner is probably gonna want more space, so it's biological, and so that's I've seen that with the 3 or 4 people that have also gotten pregnant around the same time. We're all moving to kinda, like, upgrade our nest, if you will. Um, and yeah, like I've received unsolicited and solicited advice across the board from like, you should hire a doula, like from a client colleague who is male. You should hire a doula, and at the time I didn't know what a doula was. Or you'll see like people say, "Hey, you need to read this book about sleep, like baby sleep in the first 6 to 12 months." I'm so far from that. It feels it's like that's not my vibe yet, but I took note. Like I'm gonna read that because
Mhm.
that's gonna be super important when I'm in that season. But I guess I'll just close in the fact that, like, potentially the people that are attracted to this podcast are the ones that where I was 5, 6 months ago, and I did receive some of the best advice from my brother, and it was the fact that, truthfully, I don't think you'll ever feel ready to have kids. There's always gonna be an excuse. There's gonna be like, "Now's not the right time because XYZ." Like, my wife and I moved here to start a business, and that business is not open yet, and we put family planning in front of that business, and now there's question marks around that business. I don't know if it's her business to push forward with it, brick and mortar here in Austin, Texas. I don't know. There's a question mark around that, But what I'm so thankful for and grateful for is that we put our family first, and we're going to put energy and effort into that, and we'll see where the rest goes. But for the extent that that inspires people, there's never a right time, and so just think thoroughly through like what you want the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years look, and as you're thinking through, planning around that, there's a lot of resources out there. So thank you for getting people like me in on mic to share experiences. I found a lot of value in it, and I hope inspires you to keep it going.
Oh my gosh, of course. Thank you, Ryland. You're gonna be the most incredible dad. I can't wait to just follow along your journey and hopefully give your daughter a friend at some point soon.
Yes.
But,
Yes, make sure
no,
it's a
thank
girl
you so
too. It'd be
much.
so fun to go to
Oh, that'd
school
be so
together, have play
fun.
dates. Yeah. But there's a
Oh my
lot of girls in
gosh.
the water. Everyone in my circle right now, like 90% girls. I just went to a baby shower last weekend for Lydia and Mitch, and they had like 5 or 6 babies there, all girls. And so something's in the
Interesting.
water.
Something's in the water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for everything. You gave such incredible advice. Your stories are so heartfelt, and I think it's going to resonate with a lot of dads out there. So, thank you for coming on this show, and I would love to have you back when baby girl is a little bit older and
Maybe
you've
she
entered a
yeah,
new
yeah.
phase.
6, 7 months, like we'll do the podcast
Yeah.
featuring
Yeah.
baby Pete.
Baby P.
Yeah.
Love it. Alrighty. Well, thank you, Ryland.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you for tuning into Girl Dad, the podcast. If you found today's conversation helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow girl dad. I read every review and truly take your words to heart. To close out, remember, your intentional moments make lasting legacies. See you next week.